Welcome to the Dive Bar Music Club podcast, where the guest hosts drop in and out, but the opinions are always passionate and the playlists loud. It's like Cheers if everyone at the bar had a strong take on 90s alt-rock or a suspicious number of burned CDs. Around our table, you'll find an emerging touring songwriter, a former cult band favorite whose work since then is even more interesting, a portrait photographer with a not-so-secret metal penchant, a record store owner who learned about Swifties the hard way, a retired folk singer who regrets nothing, and a zine maker with more cool music projects than we can count. We're all just here to share what we're currently obsessed with and maybe convince someone that yes, that weird Icelandic synth folk band is worth a listen. Okay, that last one's probably me, Sloane Spencer. It's Dive Bar Music Club. Low-key, high taste, happy hour for music nerds. Welcome back to Dive Bar Music Club, the low-key, high-taste happy hour for music nerds. I'm your chief music nerd, Sloane Spencer, and I'm joined today with Nelson Gullett and Charles Hale. We got a fun list of tunes to talk about today, and I hope we get to them all because there's a unintentional theme at the end that's not a thematic theme. So I don't know if we'll get a chance to wrap that up or not. But first, we were talking a little offline about stuff we all have been doing related to music in the last month or so. Charles and Nelson, what have y'all been doing with music lately?
I have been working just, around the radio station, dealing with the new stuff. Been digging pretty deep into that new Sturgill release that came through the other night.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to get too deep into it because I think that might be a topic of conversation in an upcoming episode. But I spent a lot of time yesterday going track by track through that album, reading the lyric sheet and saying, we can play this song, we can't play that song. Fun record, but not for terrestrial radio. There's a lot of stuff to work around, but it's cool to have some new music from Sturgill, and we're getting ready for a big festival here in town at the end of the month, which is mostly what I'm going to be talking about today.
Yes, I'm looking forward to hearing about the festival. Yeah, I'm digging this new Sturgill record as well. Johnny Blue Skies, technically.
Yes.
We are going to be talking about it on a upcoming episode. So, but yeah, not made for radio, which amen. How about you, Charles?
The last time we talked, I had just purchased a large record collection for my store. And so I've spent the last 4 weeks going through that, which has been a lot of fun. Discovering lots of things and seeing records that I had only heard of and got a chance to listen to. So that's been fun. And I've also caught 2 live shows. One was just a couple of nights ago. The Devil Makes 3 were in Colorado.
Yeah.
And at the beginning of February, I saw the Michael Shannon, Jason Narducy R.E.M. show in Denver. And it's
Really?
Yeah, it's the first time I've seen them because they haven't come to Denver in previous years. So they kicked off the tour in Denver.
Ah, okay. So let's not go too deep in the weeds because I just got back from seeing 3 nights of that show. But what was special about the Denver show?
That I was there.
Amen.
So it was special, I think, for people in Colorado because we've heard about it, but haven't gotten to witness it. It's the kind of thing that happens because Denver is a little isolated. We don't get some of the smaller tours. We did have a couple of special guests, not as noteworthy as special guests in the South, but apparently both of Michael Shannon's sisters live in Colorado. They're both singers, and so they each came out and sang one song. I can't remember one of them. One of them was one of the songs that Patti Smith does on New Adventures in Hi-Fi. So,
Ebo.
Yes, I think that's the one that they did. But yeah, it was just a lot of fun.
Very cool. Well, yeah, I'll probably deep dive into the various times I've seen this tour and the previous tours some other time. But yeah, it was fun. I got to see both nights in Athens, and I also drove over to Chapel Hill to Cat's Cradle and saw that show as well. So it was fun to get to see 3 nights of the same thing. For me, okay, did y'all have an opener in Denver?
Yeah, we had Bobcat.
Okay, I just want to say that he was my biggest surprise of the whole thing because I heard Bobcat Goldthwait once decades ago and I never listened again. And anytime he came on or was going to be on, I would turn it off. He was fantastic.
also enjoyed him. I'll just be like the old guy. He went on too long, and then there was too long of a quote set break between comedian and band. I mean, it was only like 20 minutes, but what did they have to do? They didn't have to break down anything from the comedy set. But there's no reason to complain about the thing, because it's just a miracle that sort of concert tour exists and that it's so well received. So my question, Sloane, because you saw multiple nights, were the bonus songs after the main album different each night?
So yes, I would say not 100% different. My analysis of it would be that they had 40 songs ready to go and they would pick 20 of them each night. So There was a little bit of overlap, but it wasn't totally the same. Yeah. The thing that was different on this tour from the previous time that I saw the previous record was that there was a lot of post-IRS material, and it was received quite differently at the two different venues by the audiences, because the audiences were very different.
Yeah, I was so lucky. I got to go last year, Sloane, because you reached out to me at 9 o'clock in the morning and said, "How fast can you get to Athens?" And
I'm that person.
I just kind of dropped everything. Yeah, I kind of dropped everything and went to the show. But I stood outside the 40 watts in line, and I could hear the sound check for that show, the second show at Athens last year. And I heard the sound check songs that didn't make the playlist. So I think probably like you, they had a bunch of songs ready to go. And then just depending on who the guests were, what they wanted to play, what the mood of the night was, they could probably shuffle them in and out. But last year, I think there were 2 songs that were post IRS. And you said that kind of changed a little this time around. But I'm just sitting here crying because I'm listening to you guys talk about the show this year. And I had tickets and wasn't able to make it. But I'm going to catch them next time on the Document Tour.
That's right, because I always buy 2 tickets whether I can make it happen or not. So you can be my +1.
Okay.
I love that they didn't play the hits. I love that they played post-IRS stuff. I love that it wasn't hits. They weren't trying to recreate a concert. They were celebrating the entire catalog, so to speak.
Agreed. Yeah, even was Great Beyond in the set when you were there?
Yes.
Yeah, and randomly, I know. So I am definitely a fan of the first 5 albums plus Chronic Town, and not super knowledgeable about the post-IRS material. But I did work in AAA radio for a really long time, so we played a number of those songs. And so I only knew Great Beyond because we played it on the radio. I didn't even know it was from a movie.
Right. Yeah, it was an exciting night. I thought Michael Shannon did an unbelievably good job of being a front person. Mm-hmm. And obviously the band is really, really good.
The band is amazing.
Was it the same band from last year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Yeah. Was John Sturrett on bass last time? I think he was.
He was. Yeah.
Yeah, it was all the same people.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was super fun. Whoa, fun. I didn't realize you got to see that too, Charles. And randomly, I have a Devil Makes 3 magnet on my refrigerator. I haven't seen them in years, but I love them.
So you like that devil stuff, huh?
I do. A friend of the devil. It's a friend of mine. Anyway.
Amen.
As always, y'all pick great music this time around. And with just the 3 of us, I hope that we get a chance to bring up all the songs. I was kind of joking at the beginning of the show that there's an unintentional theme in these songs that I'll bring up at the very end of it. But musically, we've got, Charles, your stuff is more broad thematically or stylistically rather, and Nelson, yours has some interesting tie together. But I want to start with you, Charles, of the songs you chose this time around, because they're kind of from 3 different places.
That was by design. I like to represent myself as being more than just one thing.
Tell us about that.
Okay, so the first song I chose is what I've been dying to talk about on this program, but I had to wait till the 7-inch arrived. The group is called the Magnolia and Johnson Electric Company, which I think knowledgeable listeners will understand where that comes from. It's a collaboration between Will Johnson from the band Centromatic and the surviving members of the Magnolia Electric Company. That band was fronted by Jason Molina, who passed away. And so Will and those other musicians got together sometime last year, recorded 3 songs, and then played a handful of dates together. And they released the 3 songs streaming a little while ago, but the 7-inch single has 2 songs, and it just arrived in the last month. Will Johnson has a history with Jason Molina. They made a one-off record together that's just called Molina and Johnson. The 2 songs on the 7-inch, Wooden Heart, which is the one I selected, and 20 Cycles to the Ground, both of those songs appear on the Molina and Johnson record, but they're very different versions on this new 7-inch. So it's just an interesting collaboration, and so that's why I picked it.
Nice. So Will Johnson, like, I was a huge Centromatic fan, and turns out he's just a fantastic guy behind the scenes with helping bring music that he personally loved to audiences that might not have gotten it the first time around. He also was supportive of the posthumous release for my friend Chris Porter, who passed away. Just a really wonderful person in the world of music.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Centromatic albums, of his solo albums. He also is a painter. I own 2 of his paintings.
Right.
And he's written a novel that is also pretty good. So he's just one of these people that has more talent than he should.
And plays in Isbell's band, doesn't he?
Is in the 400 unit right now.
Well, he also did that project with like Jay Farrar and Jim James, the New Multitudes.
Yes.
That was the Woody Guthrie kind of thing a few years ago. But I'm glad you brought this up, because I had seen the first digital release, like when they released The Big Beast.
Yes.
I found that. I played that on my show a couple of times. I didn't realize they had followed it up with a couple more songs. So I was happy you brought this to the table, because that was, September when they released it digitally, and I hadn't gone back and revisited it.
Yeah, and the Big Beast, in my personal taste, is the funnest of the 3 songs. It's more the Big Beast would actually fall in line with some of the other songs we're going to talk about this time than Wooden Heart. I don't know what to say specifically about this song. It's more like the story behind it is the interesting part.
Absolutely. Do you know anything more about the pressing of the 7-inch and the different version?
No, I mean, it's completely different recordings from the Magnolia or from the Molina and Johnson album. I'm looking at it now. I mean, it was just recorded in Texas, and it's put out by the label that's put out Will's solo records recently.
Okay.
But
cool.
my guess is that the 5 or 6 shows they played and this 7-inch is all there's going to be, which is disappointing to me. But I would rather there be just this than nothing.
For sure. For sure.
Oh, I just want to briefly bring up, if we're talking about Jason Molina, if you guys missed the Charles Wesley Godwin cover of Hammer Down that came out last year, Scott Avett is on that tune with Charles Wesley Godwin. That's just I've always loved that song, and a cool recording that I don't know that everybody got their ears on last year.
I missed that, so thank you for pointing that out.
It's an old Magnolia Electric Company tune, so.
Very nice. Charles, how about some of these others that you picked?
Oh, I'm going 2 in a row. All right.
I'm going to let you do all 3 in a row.
Oh, wow. Okay. So my next song is by the 70s garage rock group, the Flamin Groovies. And I love them. I just picked Have You Seen My Baby? I think it's the 2nd song or the 3rd song on the album Teenage Head. In this giant record collection that I purchased, there was 4 or 5 Flamin Groovies albums that I was really excited to find.
Oh, fun.
Because I kind of got turned on to them sometime last fall, I believe. And it was one of those things that I get turned on to a band, and then it's like, well, let me see if I can find some of their records. And so then here they are. But I've known the name Flamin Groovies, but I didn't know anything about them until I was at this show in Denver. I can't remember the photographer's name. Y'all know him. He's a Southern guy. He does a lot of Mississippi blues photography. He put on
Adam Smith
put on an event in Denver with Ben Nichols, Billy Allen and the Polies, Luther Dickinson, and Alvin Youngblood Hart. And Alvin Youngblood Hart played a Flamin Groovies song, and talked about how big of an influence they were on him. And I'm a big Alvin Youngblood Hart fan, so it was sort of like, okay, let me file that away.
Mm-hmm.
Alvin mentioned that he grew up in San Francisco, where the Flamin Groovies are from, and would hear them a lot on the radio. And so I found this album, Teenage Head, put it on my turntable and was really enjoying it, flipped over to the back cover. And then I saw that Jim Dickinson plays on a couple of songs on the record. And that made me like it even more, because Jim Dickinson is one of those figures that if you want a rabbit hole, his goes on forever.
For sure.
And Have You Seen My Baby is just sort of this perfect 3-minute, slightly psychedelic garage rock song.
I'm a fan of the Flamin Groovies, and my parents were fans, and we actually lived in San Francisco in the early 70s and they were around. Anyway, if you pick a record, you know what you're getting. Just pick one, go for it.
Yeah, and I now own 4 Flamin Groovies records, but I've only listened to one because I just sort of take my time with one instead of trying to digest all 4 of them at one time.
Yeah.
And I just happened to pick Teenage Head to put on first.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm kind of like you, Charles. I've been familiar with them, but I've never sat down and really listened to this band. And until you threw this out here, I think my biggest frame of reference was the old Backsliders song. Abe Lincoln, American Aquarium covered it.
Oh,
yeah.
There's a line in there just still trying to get me to listen to them old Flamin' Groovies. And
That's right.
You finally got me to listen to them old Flamin' Groovies.
Well,
so thanks for...
I think their big hit is Shake Some Action, which if I had just read that title, I would not have known the song, but I clicked play on it and was like, oh yeah, I know that song. So I'm certain, Nelson, that you know this song. You just don't know that you know it.
That was my experience as well. I was like, oh, I didn't know I know this.
Yeah, there's a lot of those out there.
Very cool. And then, Charles, your third one is one that I did not know. And I'm like, how did I not know this?
Do you know the band at all?
I don't, but I know all the stuff around it. And no, I'm not familiar with them at all. Tell me about it.
Okay, so the band is called Beulah, and I think actually they're also from San Francisco. The song I picked is called Your Mother Loves You, Son, from what I think is their final album, Yoko. It came out in the early 2000s. Even though Beulah was a California-based band, they had some connection with the Elephant Six Collective.
Mm-hmm.
I know this album, Yoko, because it was released by a small Atlanta-based record label called Velocet Records.
Mm-hmm.
And I was an intern at Velocet when this album came out.
Oh, cool.
But Velocet is the record label that Capricorn Records sort of turned into.
Mm-hmm.
When the third generation of Walden were working at Capricorn, and for whatever reason, they decided to shut down Capricorn, 2 Waldens started Velocet Records. And Beulah my understanding was Beulah had submitted their music to Capricorn, hoping to sign there, because Capricorn had already signed the Glands around that time.
I love the Glands.
And the Glands are an amazing band. We could talk for days about them.
Mm-hmm.
But Capricorn turns into Velocet and takes the Glands contract and the Beulah contract with them. And this is just an album that I've gone back to a lot in the last year and a half when my radio show moved from Sunday nights to Friday afternoon. I was looking for more upbeat songs to play.
Yeah. Mm.
And Beulah sort of hits all the things I'm looking for. It's arty, it's poppy in a good way, really catchy melodies, but weird stuff going on. So that's essentially the story of Beulah.
Very cool. And so for listeners who are like, oh, Elephant Six sounds familiar, I'm not really sure. Think like Apples in Stereo. So like that world, and suddenly you'll be like, okay.
And Neutral Milk Hotel. Yeah, the Neutral Milk Hotel album, In the Airplane Over the Sea.
Yeah.
So Yoko is the Beulah album that's sort of most produced, has the most full sound, which is not sort of surprising that they sort of get there from more lo-fi roots.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it's an album that I'm really disappointed has never existed on vinyl.
Yeah. I'm like, who do you reach out to make that happen? If y'all have not seen there's a great documentary about Elephant Six Collective that I've seen a few times that would recommend, especially if you're like, I've heard of this, but I don't really know, and you missed it. It's kind of a homey documentary, and I would suggest pulling it up and watching it. It's worth an hour or so of your time.
Yeah, that's the world that I've dipped my toes in, like I know that Neutral Milk record and a few other things, and I've heard the name Beulah, but again, another band I've never fully dipped into, but I enjoyed this one. This is the kind of thing I think I would go back to.
Ooh.
Yeah, I liked this one. I'm not fully into the whole E6 world, but I was a big fan of Apples in Stereo because they are very like Beatles-ish of the collective. And so I always really liked their records, and they were kind of my like background music for a long, long time. Just trying it a little bit differently this month, giving Charles a chance to get all his tunes in there because we have accidentally cut him off a few times and missed some of his great suggestions. But Nelson, you also always bring music to the table that I'm excited about. And this is one of the reasons that I was thrilled you were able to participate in this, because I always learn something new from the music that you're playing on your radio show. And two of them this time were brand new for me and immediate, like I bought the record as soon as you sent these over. So tell us what you've been listening to lately.
Well, I do want to say, first of all, one of my goals this week was to kind of sit back and let other people go, because I felt like maybe I did get all my picks in last time, so I was going to hang back a little bit. But yeah, thanks for letting me do it this way, because all of my picks kind of go together this time around.
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier, there's a big music festival coming to Knoxville at the end of March. It's the Big Ears Festival, and I don't know if any of you guys have ever attended or if you know what this is, but Ashley Katz, who started Bonnaroo maybe 15 years ago, started this festival, Big Ears, and it takes place in downtown Knoxville. So we're at the historic Bijou and Tennessee theaters. They convert a few churches into stages. Some of the local bars and clubs have stages. And over Thursday through Sunday, there's going to be over 200 artists, and it's everything. Last year, I brought my daughter downtown for an evening, and we saw Sunny War, Sun Ra Orchestra, a Rouge Aftab, and a Waxahachie acoustic show.
Wow.
And that's kind of the vibe of the whole weekend. We'll bring some folks in to play the Blue Plate Special here at the radio station. We've had everything from Amethyst Kia, Chocolate Genius, San Rompe Pero, which is a punk cumbia band. The variety and the depth of music that comes to Knoxville, of all places, for this festival, it's incredible. It's one of my favorite things. I haven't always gotten to attend the festival, but just being around the energy of the city when it comes to town. And in recent years, they've had a bit of underground folk, Americana kind of bent to the festival. And that's where I picked my three artists this week. And I don't know if there's one in particular you want me to start with, Sloane. Which record did you buy? And we'll start there.
Well, I listened to them in the order they popped up on my screen after I had uploaded some stuff. So I don't know what order you submitted them. But the first one I got was Yasmin Williams and then the Gwennifer Raymond. And I already had the Haley Hendrix.
Yeah.
But okay, so I love instrumental music, and particularly something instrumental that is not background music, and neither of these are background music. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I love all your picks here. How did you stumble upon these various artists? I know one of them you've been a fan of a long time.
Well, I almost went all instrumental, but I threw Haley in there because I was going to talk about her on a previous episode. Yasmin, I think I discovered a few years ago just from online conversations. I think she probably sprung up when I was following a lot of folks who were working with the Black Opry. Mm-hmm. And I really try to include artists of color in my playlists. And when I find someone like Yasmin, that's something I can really hook into and latch onto. And Yasmin was at the festival solo in 2024. And I actually got her in the studio for a conversation. She learned to play guitar because she loved the video game Guitar Hero. And if you watch her play, it's almost like every guitar she plays is a lap guitar. She doesn't hold the guitar like most people do. She kind of just sets it on her lap and plays because that's how she played the video game. And she just has this really unique style, this really intricate style. Her latest record, Acadia, is the one I pulled from. Dom Flemons from the Carolina Chocolate Drops is on this tune. He's going to be at Big Ears as a solo artist, and he just plays the bones on this tune. But it's there's a groove there and just an intricate kind of style that's all her own. And, Yasmin, she kind of made some headlines toward the end of last year, too. She was one of the artists who pulled out of the Kennedy Center and kind of had a public exchange with some folks at the center. So she's definitely elevated her profile a little bit. I'm interested to see her when she comes to town this time because she's going to be playing with William Tyler.
Oh.
Who is another artist I didn't know a ton about. But last year I went to a secret show at Big Ears, and it was William Tyler, and he had Tatiana Hargreaves on stage, and just this ambient, but with folk and banjo. And I'm down to see anything he's a part of now.
Yeah.
And he's going to be with Yasmin this year.
Man, I would think that that's probably going to be one of like the sets to see that afterwards everyone's going to say they were there.
Yeah, and I mean, this festival, on my side of things, you've got the Blind Boys of Alabama, Anna Tibble, Chris Feely, Daryl Scott, Ken Pomeroy, Madison Cunningham.
Wow.
You also have John Zorn, Mark Ribot, Niels Klein, Reggie Watts, the Westerlies. Thurston Moore is going to be here. Like, this is a festival that pulls people from all over the country, all over the world. Wu Fei is going to be at the festival this year. Not her first time. Like, there's so many things I'm looking forward to, and picking just 3 artists from the Big Ears lineup was pretty tough. And the radio station, we're getting to do some exclusive things. I've got a call after I get off of this where we're kind of seeing what we're going to do with the festival, and we'll be getting some access we haven't had before. So I'm really excited this year.
That's awesome. So as both a music writer and a fan, I have attended a number of music festivals in Knoxville, and I 100% recommend going. If you've never been to Knoxville, you should go. But I really appreciate the way that Big Ears uses the various facilities in the area, because it's more, as you mentioned, it's more than just like music, what you would think of as a traditional music venue. And it's very geographically accessible, which is not every festival that's set up like this is. So yeah, I would recommend it big time.
It's a walk. Every venue is a walk. MJ Linderman is coming, and I think I'm probably going to skip that set because I'm seeing him in April because there's so many other things to do.
Incredible.
But yeah, Yasmin was one that I wanted to highlight, and then Gwyneth Raymond, if we want to stay on the instrumental side.
Yeah.
That's an artist I did not know until the festival lineup was released and some of the targeted emails that came out. She's another guitar player from Wales. She grew up not really listening to music. She said she would walk around the house with her Walkman listening to books on tape. And then her mom bought her Nirvana's Nevermind, and she owned a guitar 2 weeks later. But she went from Nirvana to Southern blues kind of pioneers, and she, another guitar player who's developed this style. And I'm still new to her music and new to her sound, but I don't even know how to talk about instrumental music a lot of times, but this is one of those artists that you listen to it and you can't convince yourself that it's just one person with one guitar.
Agree. Absolutely. Yeah.
But it is.
This was fantastic. And I was not only pulling up the record, but I wanted to try to find some video as well to figure out how she was doing it.
Yeah, you've gone further than I have then. What does it look like?
And because I couldn't figure it out. And it's sort of like if you've ever seen John Moreland play live and you're always like, how does one dude get that much sound out of one guitar? It was that kind of experience. And she holds the guitar like classical guitar players do, with it, kind of upright, or at least in the video that I found. And I was like, because it's very much like the stuff that I was listening to was very much in the, traditional American blues vein. And this was such a surprise to me because I'd never heard of her before. And then I was like, this is fantastic.
Yeah. And it's one of those things, like, I don't know, like, I know some of the people who book the festival, and I still don't know how they find some of the people they do. Maybe it's things that are bigger than I'm aware of and I just haven't stumbled upon. But it's one of those festivals where you can walk into any venue at any point, and if it's your thing or if it's not your thing, it's going to be something different, something amazing. There are some local artists that participate too, which I always love when you do a festival like this that brings people from around the world to highlight some of your local folks as well. But Gwyneth was, she says she has kind of a sci-fi blues approach to her guitar playing, and I'm really curious to see it live. That's part of why I haven't gone out and watched a lot of videos.
I can't wait to hear about this after the fact.
Yeah. But I'm curious, Charles, did you dig in any of this stuff? What do you think about the instrumental tunes this week?
I also enjoy instrumental music, maybe primarily through jazz, but finding sort of quote rock instrumentals is always fun to me. And when I listen to all three of the instrumentals for this month, there absolutely is a through line. I like the sort of drony, hypnotic aspect, specifically to this Gwennifer Raymond tune, of you just sort of drop into the rhythm, the pace of it, and then is it 5 minutes, or is it 2 minutes, or is it 20 minutes?
3:37.
Yes, but at times it can feel like it's going to go on forever.
Yeah.
But no, I really enjoyed the instrumental stuff this month. I have questions about Sloane's instrumental choice, so we have to get to that. But I thought...
Yeah, I really want to talk about that too.
I thought this Jack Parson Blues song was really interesting.
Cool.
I love it.
The last one I picked is Haley Hendrix and Max Garcia Conover. This is an album I wanted to talk about on the first episode of this show, and I wasn't able to make that recording. So I kind of brought it back into play this time around. Haley Hendrix, I've been aware of since I believe around 2018. She put out a song, I Want to Start a Garden, that I fell in love with and played endlessly on my show. She's only put out a couple records since then, but she has done 2 collaborations with Max Garcia Conover. And this latest album, What of Our Nature, they describe it as she was on the West Coast, he was on the East Coast. They were both listening to a lot of Woody Guthrie, reading biographies, reading his writings. And they kind of wrote this album as a conversation to each other while they were living in this world of Woody Guthrie. And Haley has Filipina heritage. Max has some other heritage as well. And they have these conversations about colonialism and capitalism. Mass marketing is kind of the focus of this tune. But they kind of have differing styles, and from song to song, you'll hear Haley's voice, you'll hear Max's voice, and it is very much the record, a conversation. Haley is doing a solo show at Big Ears. Max has other commitments, but I'm curious to see if she brings out some music from this album, if she goes back to some of her early solo work. But yeah, Haley has just been an artist I've had my eye on for a while as kind of this folk artist who comes at it from a slightly different perspective. And I always enjoyed that sort of thing.
I know her because of you. And the only reason I remember is because of the unusual spelling of her last name, because I'm a visual learner.
Yes.
But have you seen her before live?
I have not. I don't know that she's been this way.
Not that I could find.
I discovered her, 2018, 2019, and then nobody comes to play for a couple of years, right? So
right.
I don't think she's been around, and I know I haven't seen her live. I think one of her parents responded to a tweet I put out once, but that was a few years ago. That's probably the closest I've come. But yeah, I'm just excited to have this festival, to have Haley here. I'm one of those festival goers who, you can get the app and you can plug in your schedule and say, I'm going to go here, 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 and here. I don't do that. I kind of float. I have 2 or 3 things that I want to go to, and then the rest of it is just, what direction are my friends going? What's close by? But these 3 I'm putting on my schedule, and then I'll work around just to see what happens after that. I'm hoping we get one or more of them at the station.
Yeah.
To do a thing. I think there's a possibility, but it's a huge festival.
Right.
Richard Thompson, S.G. Goodman. I haven't even talked about. So much to see that I know I'm going to miss half of it. But that's part of the fun of some of these things too, is talking to people afterwards. Well, what did you see? Oh,
yep.
Well, I missed that. I wish I'd been there, but I was at this other thing that was really cool. Ann Powers is going to be in town, so I'm sure I'm going to have another moment this time where I'm leaving a thing and see her walking in. So the Ann Powers principle is still in effect.
I think that should always be in effect. You were talking about, festival planning for big events like that, and that's something that I had to develop over time. When I first started going to Americana Fest, at first it was only like 3 venues, and then it was in 5 venues. And I would make a spreadsheet, and I used to like share my spreadsheet with people of who I wanted to see when and where, because you were still able to bounce from venue to venue pretty easily at that time. And then it was like 19 or 20 something venues, and then it just went crazy. And you really have to approach it differently. And I like how you're kind of like, okay, I'm putting some hard pins here, and I'm just going to let it happen around that.
You know, and that's what I did at Americana Fest too, and that's how I wandered into Emmylou Harris, well, she wasn't with him, but Emmylou Harris and Daniel Lanois had played the award show, and Daniel had kind of his own thing that he was playing, a venue I'd never heard of. I didn't have that show on my schedule, but I ended up there, and it became one of my favorite shows of the week. Just kind of going with the flow. I've got a few things I really want to see, and I know everything else is going to be good, so I'll let the festival take me where it takes me.
I'm so excited to hear about this afterwards.
Yeah, I hope I get to see the things I want, but I will report on whatever I happen to come across.
Right. It'll all work out, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Charles, we're leaving you out on anything here?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Well, so I always try to deflect here and avoid talking about the songs that I've picked, but since it's just the three of us, I'll dive into them. And I have 3 completely different songs this time, and all of them came to me in the same week, like 10 days ago-ish, for completely different reasons. So I'll start with the one that we don't really need to talk about, but I'll just explain how I got there. So I picked The Cure's song, Friday I'm in Love, and it's because we had put out an episode of Dive Bar Music Club where Chad Cochran was talking about his TikTok, and I don't TikTok. And he said that one of the things he does is a question of the day that listeners or fans submit to him. And the question was, what's a song you like with Friday in it? And my immediate response was Friday I'm in Love. And it just got me thinking, because I went to the tour that came to the US a couple years ago of The Cure expecting it to be terrible. And it was probably one of the best arena shows. It's a top 10 arena show of my life. They were fabulous. And Robert Smith, honestly, the only person who has more fun performing is Scott McCoy. Like, he just seemed to be absolutely thoroughly enjoying every minute of getting to do it. And so I go through like fits and starts with The Cure. I'll listen to them constantly for like 3 months and then not listen for a year. And so it just kind of reminded me, I love The Cure, and I'm happy to be able to tell people.
We sell a lot of Cure records, and we sell a lot of Cure records to people in their 20s. So I think The Cure has sort of gotten over the hump as far as like being cool again. And so I think people will be listening to Friday I'm in Love in 40 years.
I love them. Like, I just love them.
Yeah. My daughter is 15, and I've heard her blasting The Cure, Radiohead, Jeff Buckley.
Wow.
A couple weeks ago. Well, I think there was a Radiohead song in a Marvel TV show. So she comes to me and she's like, do you know this, Everything in Its Right Place? And I'm like, kid, let me tell you what I did the entire day that album was released.
Sit down, youngster.
Yeah, but no, the Cure, like, one of my biggest regrets from the COVID era, Americana Fest 2020, there was going to be like a Cure show, like an Americana.
I forgot about this.
You were part of connecting me to that, I think.
Yes, I completely forgot about this.
I was going to be one of the MCs. I was so looking forward to it, and of course the festival didn't happen, but I do have the t-shirt, which it looks like the Byrds' Sweetheart of the Rodeo album cover, but with Robert Smith standing in the middle of the picture. And yeah, it was going to be like Sweethearts of the Cure or something like that. I don't remember what the title of it was. I don't even remember the bands that had agreed to play it. It was just going to be a night of Cure cover songs. I don't even know if it was an official Americana Fest event or if it's just going to be happening. But I was looking forward to that so much, and it never got off the ground.
It still needs to happen. I might actually go back to Americana Fest for that.
It has never left my brain. But it's time to see you at Americana Fest again, Sloane. It's been a while. Yeah.
I haven't been in a while. Yeah, it would be good. Well, so that's my little like old school tangent, because both of these other bands that I am suddenly obsessed with are brand new to me. They're not brand new, but they're brand new to me for completely different reasons, but connected reasons. And that is, public radio is amazing, and I love public radio. And I am a massive fan of KEXP. And if you don't follow KEXP online, you should if you like music, especially if you like to find new to you music. And that is how I found the band, who is from Quebec, who I am guaranteed to mispronounce, because I'm going to mispronounce French and definitely mispronouncing Canadian French. So we're just going to roll with it. But I believe they are called Angine de Poitrine. And the song I brought is Sherpa. And it's because I saw them on KEXP and I was obsessed, absolutely obsessed. One wears white with black polka dots, one wears black with white polka dots. They have these big headdresses. One of them has a facial mask that resembles one of the characters from Commedia dell'arte. And I don't know if I've mentioned, I was a theater major, but I was like a history of theater major. So Commedia dell'arte and the stock characters of Pantalone and Dottore and Poirot and Pierrot and all of that is like super part of my performance art past. Like that all connects to what I was doing when I was still in the world of performing. And so visually, I was just absolutely immediately hooked before I even heard them launch into the songs. And Angine de Poitrine, I'm going to call it's math rock, but it's like, it brings in those microtones, which if you listen to like older Bollywood music, not so much the modern electronic stuff, or if you were into like early They Might Be Giants, or even like King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, like microtones are those, it's like the sounds between the notes in Western music. And when you hear it, you'll recognize it. Like you don't have to be like into music theory to go, oh, yeah, I hear what you're talking about. But everything about it is just 100% up my alley. And I knew nothing about them until I saw this video from KEXP. And it was just one of those like, oh, whoa, I love this immediately. And then when I was at the shows at the 40 Watt this week, I met this guy, Patrick, who is from Montreal, who was telling me all about the history of this band. And he said, yeah, they've been around since like 2019. He's like, yeah, they're very, very well known. I was like, well, I've known about them for a week. So did y'all by chance either look at or listen to any of this?
Yes.
I listened to the whole record this morning.
I hope you loved it.
Like, I kind of did. You know, KEXP, like, I kept thinking of Krungben, who I also discovered through KEXP. And this is, you know, a harder sound than Krungben, but that's the vibe I was getting. This primarily instrumental band. I had it on, you know, driving my kid to school in the morning. And what do you think of the soundtrack this morning, kid?
This is different.
Yeah, this is definitely music. But I couldn't put it down. I went through the whole thing.
How about you, Charles?
So I had not heard of them until you sent it over. But the other night I was listening to all the songs for this month, not long after having a gummy, and because it's legal in Colorado. So all of these droney, hypnotic instrumental songs hit a little different for me. So I listened to the song you sent over, Sherpa, and then 30 minutes or an hour later, I was scrolling through Facebook, and there was the KEXP video. And so then I watched that and noticed that it has over 2 million views in not very many days. So it was sort of like, oh, this is clearly a thing now. And what you can tell from the video is that the guitar player has a guitar and a bass and is using some effects pedals and delay pedals and whatnot. I loved the music. I was fascinated with the music. I have questions about all the other stuff. And to me, the other stuff makes me less interested. And
oh, interesting.
Yeah. And so my thought process is I like when it's like real people that you can see playing the music.
Uh-huh.
Though I understand someone's desire to not be known. And I think that's part of the outfits. I would have enjoyed seeing them. And I guess I'm assuming that they wear the costumes or the outfits, whatever you want to call them, every time they play, because the costumes are also on the album covers.
Yes, it's part of from their origin. That is part of who they are at all times. Yeah,
and I respect that it's an artistic choice. I would be more interested if they were real people.
So I've known all of this for like 10 days. So this is not like I'm some lifelong knowledgeable fan about this. I had to read everything I could find about them. And apparently the duo played in a previous band together under their real names that they've done a really good job of burying, and I'm not going to dig them back up. But the way they kind of introduced this band was they opened for themselves, and they played originally as whoever they are in real life. And then the main set introducing Angine de Poitrine, they did the whole visual black and white thing with the masks and everything. And nobody knew until after the fact that it was the same band.
That's great. I do love that. I don't mean to sound like a stick in the mud.
No, like what you like.
Yeah. And I support people making artistic choices. But musically, I thought it was great and interesting. And I'm more interested in interesting music these days than anything else.
Yeah. It's interesting, too, to hear both of you talk about, like, Sloane, the visuals were a thing that brought you in.
Uh-huh.
Whereas it could be the kind of thing that keeps you away. I remember distinctly, as a radio programmer, the first email I got about Orville Peck a few years ago.
I was just going to ask about Orville Peck.
And I looked at it, and I was like, okay, mask, this is a gimmick. Because it came from a promoter that I knew, but that sometimes works some things that we're not interested in. And I just kind of breezed past it and didn't think about it. And as a couple of weeks went on, more people were talking online. A couple of other people were getting in my ear. You need to listen to this. You need to listen to this. And I put my pretenses aside, and that became his debut album became my favorite record that year when it was released. And it's interesting sometimes how every artist on some level, whether they say they don't have a style or they're trying to reach a specific style, there's a style that comes through, whether it's a visual presentation or whatever. And it's curious to see how some of that affects how you perceive the sound. Music is music. It's not about the visuals, but I think it's hard to completely compartmentalize that in some respects.
Absolutely, because Orville Peck is my exact example of when I wouldn't listen because of the whole mask thing. I was like, this is stupid. And I just refused to listen.
I had the same reaction.
But I also have one last one I do want to get in real quick that I also found because of radio and video, because this is not my normal way of finding music. So for me, the fact that both of these happened in the same time frame was pretty surprising. And I was scrolling through the hashtag of NPR's Tiny Desk submissions, and I found this one. And I want to point it out because the video that I found is different than anything that is currently available in streaming format. And the group is out of Dallas, Texas, and they're called Cure for Paranoia, and it's hip hop. And I'm not super knowledgeable about hip hop, but their style, especially on what I found, was it started, and you've got to go to their Instagram to find the exact version that I saw. Cure for Paranoia is the group. And it's their Tiny Desk submission that starts with covering Childish Gambino's This Is America and then rolls into their more known song called No Brainer. And it's the combo of that spoken word and multi-instrumental music that kind of harkens back to my preferences and background and experience from decades ago. And it reminds me of like Outkast or Tribe Called Quest. And again, not super knowledgeable about hip hop here, but those are bands that I know and like a whole lot. But I was really surprised to find out they're not from Atlanta, because there's just something about the way the music and the style of vocal delivery. I can't believe he's from Texas. I love this so much. I've listened on repeat.
Yeah, I loved this. It's another one. I went to the record again and was listening to some of the other songs. There's one up there called Art Show, which is kind of the first track on the record.
So good. I almost picked that one.
And, the track just starts. I walk into the gallery like, bitch, I'm the Art Show.
Yep.
And it's like, that tells you everything about what you're going to get in the song and this album. I'm going to spend some more time with this. I don't spend a lot of time with hip hop these days, but I'm a high school kid from the mid '90s. My CD binder back in the day was half R.E.M, half Tupac.
Right.
And, so it's part of my musical DNA, and I don't get back to it as much as I would like to, just because I don't have the time for it. But this was, I'm going to have this on in the car when the kids aren't around.
Yeah, this whole record is fantastic, and it's probably not for especially your youngest child. But I totally recommend anyone pulling up their either go to their website or their own socials, because see the way they put together these live performances as well, because they are very artistically crafted and very intentional to what they want to tell you.
Yeah, really cool. It's just a vibe to it too, just a positive. I really love the energy of what I've heard from this so far.
I love it. It's already on all my running playlists. I was just like, now I have to see a show, and I was pulling up where they're playing, and it's like anywhere near me at all. So anyway, well, I hate that we didn't get a chance to talk about what y'all have coming up, but we will definitely hit that on another time. Nelson Gullett, Charles Hale, I sure appreciate y'all hanging out again here at the Dive Bar Music Club.
Yeah, thank you, Sloane.
That's the last call at Dive Bar Music Club. If you like the hang, follow the show, leave a review, and tell your algorithm, gosh darn it, we're worth it. Better yet, share your favorite episode with a friend who actually stayed for the whole set. See y'all next time for the low-key, high-taste happy hour for music nerds. Hey, y'all. Thanks for sliding in the booth with us here at Dive Bar Music Club. I'm Sloane Spencer, a former radio host and the creator of a ton of different podcasts over the years, including another brand new one that is completely different. It's the Gen X Sleep podcast, Sleep with Rockstars. Subscribe today at sleepwithrockstars.com or your favorite podcast app.